What is a coincidence? By definition, a coincidence is something that's not planned or arranged but seems like it is. Technically, a coincidence is an occurrence of events that happen at the same time by total accident. But sometimes a coincidence can be so strange, so disturbing, so bizarre that it will make us question the entire event. In this video, we are going to look at just that. We are going to look at 3 disturbing stories with some strange coincidences behind them that makes us wonder if it's just a mere coincidence or perhaps something more nefarious. Would you, could you on a train? On September 28, 2016, at around 6:17 p.m. Eastern Time in New York, while many people were home watching WKTV News, an emergency alert broadcast populated across their screen. Now, people who were watching this hazardous materials warning with that very strange riddle at the end, would you, could you on a train, had absolutely no idea what that meant. They were left absolutely stumped, but they kept watching WKTV like normal. Later that same day, WKTV issued an apology stating that it was only a technical error that broadcasted this alert. This alert that was supposed to stay into effect ending the very next day, September 29, 2016, at around 2:16 a.m. Eastern Time. Now again, nobody really gave this alert much thought. They were given an apology and that was that. Until the very next day is when things would take an even stranger turn. On September 29th, a Pascack Valley Line train number 1614 left the Spring Valley station in Spring Valley, New York at around 7:23 a.m. Eastern Time, bound for Hoboken, New Jersey. Everything for the train had been running as normal until it entered the Hoboken terminal around 8:45 a.m. The train went over the bumper block and through the rail concourse, coming to rest at the wall right before the station's waiting area. The train had unfortunately crashed. One witness reported that the train never slowed down as it entered the station, which is located at the end of the line. The train was not equipped with an automatic brake system, which is used if the engineer does not slow the train down in time. The train crash resulted in one person losing their life and 114 other people injured. The one person that lost her life, Fabiola Bitar de Kroon, she was not on the train at the time of the crash. She was actually standing on the platform when she lost her life to falling debris. Those watching WKTV News in New York just hours prior to this train crash were left confused as to why they were given this riddle of this train, and then hours later, a train leaving New York for New Jersey just happens to crash. Although he was injured, the train engineer cooperated with the investigation, and both the engineer and the train conductor were interviewed by investigators. The engineer lacked any memory of the accident itself. According to federal investigators, the engineer felt well rested and was unaware of any mechanical problems in the moments before the accident. Interestingly enough, the black boxes could not be recovered when it came to the crash. When it came to the very mysterious broadcast that seemed to foreshadow the disaster, on October 4th, 2016, FEMA claimed responsibility. At the time, fact-checking website Snopes had been conducting their own independent investigation when it came to the broadcast. FEMA told Snopes that they were conducting cross-nations tests for the Emergency Alert Systems Test and Development Message using lines from various Dr. Seuss books as placeholder messages. When WKTV's Emergency Alert Systems device mistakenly relayed to the public the messages it received in its testing environment, the chosen verse from Green Eggs and Ham and its proximity to Hoboken was a pure coincidence, and FEMA had no culpability in the train crash. So then, what caused the accident? On February 6, 2018, the NTSB released their probable cause of the accident. The NTSB determined that the engineer's failure to stop was caused by fatigue due to undiagnosed sleep apnea. This didn't fly with many people who were looking into this further that did not buy that this was just a mere coincidence, because conductors, engineers, and those who are in control of the train are regularly tested for sleep apnea. Similar incidents of train derailments happened in 2011 and 2013, and the causes behind those derailments were attributed to sleep apnea. That would be the final determination: sleep apnea and a pure coincidence. The bizarre coincidence between Chris Benoit and Wikipedia. Christopher Michael Benoit was a wrestling powerhouse who had a 22-year career in wrestling spanning over multiple organizations, which include the WWE, the WCW, the ECW, among other organizations. On June 22, 2007, investigators determined that over the course of 3 days at their residence, Chris had taken the life of his wife Nancy. Then the very next day, he had taken the life of his 7-year-old son. Then finally, on June 24, 2007, Chris had ended himself. Subsequent research undertaken by the Sports Legacy Institute, now the Concussion Legacy Foundation, suggested that depression and CTE, a condition of brain damage from concussions that Benoit had sustained during his pro wrestling career, were likely contributing factors to the crimes. What looked like a clear-cut case of somebody destroying their family then taking themselves out was anything but. Now, I can go on and on about the many bizarre things surrounding this case and how many people believe that Chris Benoit was framed, but I am here to talk about coincidences and a very bizarre coincidence that happened just prior to what had occurred on June 22, 2007. You see, before news had broken out about Chris Benoit and his family passing away, 14 hours before police entered the Benoit home, anonymous edits on the Wikipedia article for Chris Benoit were added about the passing of his wife Nancy Benoit. So essentially, Nancy Benoit's passing was announced before police even made the discovery. An anonymous edit from IP address 69.120.111.23 using the internet service provider Optimum Online was made at 4:01 UTC on Chris Benoit's Wikipedia article. The edited paragraph stated about an earlier fight where Chris Benoit was replaced due to personal issues, the anonymous editor added, stemming from the passing of his wife Nancy. The edit was reversed just under 1 hour later with the comment, "Need a reliable source." Saying that his wife passed away is a pretty big statement. You need to back it up with something. Strangely enough, just 1 hour later after the first edit revision, another anonymous edit by another IP address 125.63.148.173 using unwiredaustralia.com.au, a wireless internet service provider, was made adding about the aforementioned personal issues. That edit had stated, which according to several pro wrestling websites is attributed to the passing of Benoit's wife Nancy. That edit was reverted just under 20 minutes later with the comment saying several pro wrestling websites is still not reliable information. So just hours before police discovered Chris Benoit and his family, hours before news broke out about Chris Benoit and his family, there was a tussle on Wikipedia. These random IP addresses saying that Nancy Benoit passed away, Chris Benoit was the reason. Wikipedia would come back and say that this is fake news. There is no reliable source saying so. Further investigations were conducted on the IP addresses. Investigations had shown that the IP address used to make the very first edit was located in Connecticut, but the IP address was not linked to any computers or servers used by the WWE. But here's what's strange. According to Carrie Bass, volunteer coordinator for the Wikimedia Foundation, the IP address actually matches a location in Stamford, Connecticut, where the WWE headquarters is located. Bass also informed the local authorities in Atlanta about the unusual edits, but it is not known if the edits were ever investigated by the police. The second edit was made by a computer in Australia from a wireless network. Bass had claimed it didn't become apparent until someone put the pieces together and realized that the comment was made by someone who apparently knew what had taken place inside the Benoit home. Fayette County Sheriff Deputy Lieutenant Tommy Pope stated that police found the family at about 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Monday when the WWE called police and asked them to do a welfare check after employees of WWE received calls and text messages from Chris Benoit. Early Sunday, Benoit sent repeated text messages that read, "My physical address is 130 Green Meadow Lane, Fayetteville, Georgia, 30215. Another text message reportedly said, "The dogs are in the enclosed pool area, garage side door is open." The messages were sent around 4 a.m. Eastern Time. Earlier on Saturday afternoon, Chris Benoit placed a series of calls that explained why he missed his flight to Houston. The stories he told were mostly about his wife and son being sick with food poisoning and vomiting, although in one call he said that he and Nancy were at the hospital to be with Daniel, who was hospitalized. Though throughout that call, Chris insisted that he would attend the live WWE event in Houston. When he missed that live event on Sunday and the WWE could not get a hold of him, the WWE contacted the authorities. This is when the police conducted that welfare check and found the Benoit family. The Wikinews investigation was unable to conclude whether the anonymous editors had any inside information about the passing of Nancy Benoit. Wikipedia had also stated that this is not the first time Benoit's article had been edited to show false or unsourced information, as the article's edit history indicates a long history of promotional spam and vandalism. Around the time of the edits, the article contained a hidden warning to editors of the section mentioned, warning against adding rumors and speculations. For the time being, Benoit's article had been protected in an attempt to stop the addition of fraudulent information. The final determination as to what happened with Chris Benoit's Wikipedia page and Nancy Benoit was just that it was a good guess and a coincidence. The bizarre coincidences of the Elisa Lambs. Now, I do believe by now everybody is familiar with the very bizarre case of Elisa Lam. So I'm not going to go into too much detail. For one, like I said, almost everybody is familiar with this case. And for two, like with Chris Benoit, this could turn into a very lengthy video. So I'm not going to talk about all the theories that surrounds this very bizarre case or her background. I'm just going to target the very strange coincidence. For a quick synopsis, on February 19, 2013, the body of Canadian tourist Elisa Lam was recovered from a large cistern atop the Cecil Hotel in downtown Los Angeles, where she had been a guest. She was last seen alive on January 31st and was reported missing by her parents on February 8th. She was discovered by a hotel maintenance worker investigating complaints of flooding and low water pressure. Here's the thing, people had also stated that the water had an unusual taste, so people were also drinking this water. The tank where she was found was providing water to guest rooms, a kitchen, and a coffee shop. So again, it's very important to understand that people were drinking the water. This video footage had released, which had shown Elisa Lam in great distress. Once this video footage had released, multiple theories had branched out, but the ultimate determination was that she had a mental break. Why it's important to remember that people cooked, bathed, and drank the water Elisa Lam was found in happens to be that a couple days after Elisa Lam was found, a very bad outbreak of tuberculosis had overtaken Skid Row right next to the Cecil Hotel. Matter of fact, very bad would not even begin to describe the outbreak. As reported by health workers at the time, they had identified about 4,650 people who were probably exposed to a persistent outbreak of the contagious disease on downtown Los Angeles' Skid Row. Over the course of 5 years, that outbreak continued to occur and remained a challenging issue, making it one of the worst outbreaks that had occurred in American history. Well, where does Elisa Lam fall into all this? To test people for TB, a test of course has to be administered. A test was administered, and the name of this test just happened to be Lam Elisa. That's right, the name of this TB test just happens to be coincidentally Elisa Lam's name in reverse. There were people that stated that this was too much of a coincidence, and this confirms that something nefarious had taken place with Elisa Lam. Elisa Lam is found in a water tank in a hotel that's right next to Skid Row, where people are getting sick with TB, and in order to test these people, they are given a test called, well, Elisa Lam, except it's Lam Elisa. People had questioned if Elisa Lam had TB when she was found in the water tank. Now, remember that video footage where it appears that Elisa Lam is in great distress? As I stated, many people had attributed that to her having a mental break. What had come out about Elisa Lam is that she had a history of mental illness. But it should also be very important to note that one of the side effects of TB just happens to be delirium, insanity. People affected by TB have a higher risk of mental health conditions, which can negatively impact TB treatment outcomes, health-related quality of life, and other health and social outcomes. In fact, mental health conditions are one of the top impairments suffered by people with TB. Now, the thing is, investigators came out and stated that Elisa Lam was not affected with TB. That all rumors between Elisa Lam and TB was just that. It was just rumors. That the bizarre coincidence when it comes to the name of the test being named after Elisa Lam was just that. It was just a bizarre coincidence. They also want people to know that the Lam-Elisa test was created well before Elisa Lam was born. The test was created in 1971. Elisa Lam was born April 30th, 1991. So the final outcome is that Elisa Lam had bipolar disorder and depression. She took her own self out, and the test TB was just, again, a very bizarre coincidence. Which of these three strange stories had the most bizarre coincidence? Please do comment in the comment section below. In any case, thank you so much for watching. If you like this channel and you want to see more, please subscribe. If you're already subscribed, please like, as any engagement does help the channel grow. Once again, thank you so much for your support.